Welcome back everyone, it's your friendly neighborhood French Canadian, and today I want to talk about the reasons why I don't think Mortal Kombat 11 is going to survive this year. Now this is not going to be a video bashing the game. I love the game. I've played it for 2 years. I've had lots of fun. I entered tournaments. I went to majors before the pandemic hit. I love the community, the friends that I made. But personally, there are glaring issues with the game that makes me just not want to play it. And I'm not saying that in a cynical way either. I'm just saying that it's missing something. It's clearly missing something to keep me interested. And also, I see one major issue that I believe is the reason why, at least for me personally. So I'm going to explain the reasons why I think the game just doesn't do it for me, at least not anymore. And I'm not saying that people don't still enjoy the game and that people still won't play it and that there still isn't online tournaments, because the online tournaments are still very alive and well. But that's not my point really. My point is the game's become stale for me. I know people want me to play matches with Melina, but here's the thing. Now that I know her inside and out, now that I've found my personal preference of how to play her, I just don't have that drive to keep playing anymore. And sure, you can say, well, Slayer, just change up your loadouts, try out new moves. But here's the thing, if I switch out moves with ones that I have that I've been using, then I feel like I'm missing something. And sure, I'll probably have a bit of fun trying to figure out how to make Melina work without ball roll maybe, or without the side slide. But here comes the problem. Once I figure that out, I'll get back into the same cycle of just not wanting to play the game, having nothing to drive me to even play it. And for me, here is the biggest problem. The variation system. I think that NRS, if they want to make a successful Mortal Kombat game, they need to do away with the freaking variation system. And I don't think this is necessarily the biggest issue why characters are so straightforward and easy to learn in this game, because I play so many freaking characters in this game, and it's not because I'm a good player, it's just because they're so straightforward and easy, and because they're divided by variation, by custom move slots. There's just an unfinished feel to every character. It's like they didn't want to build a character specifically for grappling, specifically for zoning, specifically for rushdown. And that annoys me, because let's take Injustice 2 for example. Now, it's not my favorite game that NRS made. There's a lot of things I don't like about it, but it is a game that really cemented my love for fighting games. It's where I started to understand fighting games, where it clicked for me, and where I started getting better at them. But characters took a while to learn, and then they were clearly distinctive playstyles. And sure, they added these like custom moves you can only use in PvE, which to me was just useless, but I still feel like the characters felt more complete. And here's the thing, it's weird because in MKX, I feel like it took a lot to learn a character, or a lot more than MK11. And maybe that was just my inexperience with fighting games, because MKX is the one that I started on when it comes to playing fighting games competitively. So maybe it's really just the fact that I was green and it would take all of my brain power just to learn a new variation for the character I've been using, right? But because characters feel incomplete in MK11, because it is so easy to learn them, I feel like this game will definitely not survive this year. I really don't see even adding another DLC doing anything, because let's look at it from the last DLC, right? Everyone was excited, there were new characters to learn. So you go and practice them, and you go and learn them, you go and play online with these new characters, you figure out their combos, and it's fun, you know? It brings back the excitement to the game. An excitement that has dwindled because you're so used to the characters you play, the characters there are, and so it kind of breaks that routine, right? But after a while, all that excitement, it dwindles. It's like being in a honeymoon phase, right? Everything is wonderful, everything is dandy, but then after a while, when the veil comes off, you really see that the game hasn't changed, it's still the same, And the reasons you don't want to play it, or the reasons you feel that the game is lacking, are still there. They're still very prominent. And adding characters is not going to change that. Even if they add all of your favorites, it's not going to change anything. You'll have fun playing the game for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe 1 month at most. And then slowly but surely, your interest will start to die out because of the game's lack of creativity. Because characters are easy to learn, and there's not much else you can do outside of that. Now, if they really plan on keeping this game updated for another year or two, while working on another game, they will need to make some big gameplay changes, and not just adding something like Armor Breaker, completely changing the meta of the game, which in a way Armor Breakers sort of did, but I don't think it was something that was impactful, and it didn't solve the main issues that most of the community has with the game, with the gameplay, especially when it comes to things like wake-ups, fatal blows, lack of combo paths, and combo creativity, lack of character archetypes that excel at one thing and one type of gameplay, and not just at everything, depending on what moves you choose to equip. I would even go as far as to say as this game is over, and I'm okay with that. I am ready to move on to the next thing. I'm really annoyed that they waited so freaking long to add Melina. I do like how she plays, but it's not her that's a problem, and it's not the characters either, you know? Even if they would add all fan favorites. The problem is the game itself. It's become stale, and the fact that it lacks creativity in a lot of ways, doesn't have strong character archetypes, doesn't have a lot of things to keep you playing, to keep you learning. And listen, maybe pros and people who always enter tournaments do have that drive because, you know, there is money behind it. They work hard enough, then they can win big tournaments, make a lot of money, get that clout and all of that stuff. So I do understand that for them it's probably different. And for big streamers, of course, because they make money off of streaming the game. But for people like you and me, casual players, people who want to get better but don't necessarily want to become pro, I think we've all hit a wall, right? And there's no use in trying to bang our head against it. Our forehead is going to crack way before that wall. It's useless. If something doesn't bring you joy, if something it doesn't make you want to keep getting better at it, and if you force yourself, you'll not only resent your own self for your choices, but you'll resent the game for not being what you expected it to be. And all these issues, the issues that you have with the game, they'll be even more relevant. Sometimes I'll fire up the game and play it, and the things that used to not matter to me, you know, at the beginning of the game, and now they are so annoying because I see it and it still hasn't been fixed. Hitbox issues and just weird interactions when two moves collide or strings or whatever. I just personally think that NRS should close this chapter, wait another 4 or 5 years for the next installment of Mortal Kombat, focus on whatever next game they're going to release. And I'm going to follow that game, I'm going to play that game, I'm going to make videos for that game, whatever it is. But right now, I just have no drive to even talk about this game competitively, to even play it, to even analyze my matches. The only thing that keeps me going is if I go and learn a new character. But who wants to watch someone play Baraka? It's boring. It's fun for me, because I'm learning a new character and I'm kicking ass with a new character. But it's boring for people who watch, because it's always the same thing. This one string into Baraka Barrage, amp, walk back, kick string, crushing blow, blah blah blah. It's always the same pattern. And again, that's the issue with the game. It's just the same pattern, same boring gameplay. And I'm not saying it's boring because it's slow, because the slowness of it is what I like the most. I like being able to play footsies and really play neutral well. But what gets me is how uncreative all characters are and how boring it is after a while when you've learned them. There's not that feeling of satisfaction I felt when I played Injustice 2 and even MKX and even MK9 as I've revisited it years later. So those are all my thoughts about the game, about how I'm feeling right now. I really hope they announce something soon, whether it's a new DLC or a new game altogether, because I really don't see MK11 surviving another year in the state it's in. So people, please let me know what you think about this, if you agree with me, if you don't. I'm really curious to see if other people also feel that way. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day.